Hi, I'm attorney Nate Gilbert in San Antonio, Texas, and today I want to touch a little bit on what happens if I don't have an operating agreement for my LLC. This is a question that I get asked pretty regularly. People call, they've had an LLC for a while, they've had some business dealings, but they don't have an internal operating agreement. So that operating agreement is a contract between the members. So whether it's just you and your spouse, you and your family, or you and a few partners, it's a contract between the members and the company, and you're basically promising the company that you're going to run it in a specific way. So if you don't have an operating agreement, what happens then? Well, there are statutes that we look at. So we look at the Texas Business Organization Code, and that's going to really determine how we run the LLC. So for rules on adding members, certain resolutions that have to happen, how to amend any kind of certificate of formation, we're going to look at the statutes and see what they say. If there's no statute on it, well, we need to make some kind of member resolution internally. Now, I don't recommend going without an operating agreement. It's not the end of the world if you don't have one. We can always, make some things up and really try to rein in any kind of things that are going on in the LLC with member resolutions. But having an operating agreement is pretty vital, and most attorneys are going to recommend that you have one, even if it's just you. If it's just a single member LLC and you're not doing a whole lot with it, you might hold some property checks in and out every now and then. It may not seem very serious, but in the event of a lawsuit where you or the entity gets sued, we want to make sure that there's a lot of paperwork. We want to make sure that that file is adequately papered with things like operating agreements, company resolutions, meeting minutes. Again, even if it's just you, I'm a single member entity, and I still have meetings for my PLLC, and my member resolutions are still intact because I want to maintain this company. Okay, so the things I say to my clients, there's no difference between your LLC and McDonald's LLC or HEB LLC. Like it's the same thing. Okay, every corporation, every company is going to have reporting requirements, filing requirements, and internal record keeping requirements. So we want to make sure that we're keeping all that. Again, not the end of the world if you don't have one, but we always want to make sure that we do have an operating agreement. And if you have questions about that, you should talk to an attorney. Downloading an operating agreement on the internet or finding one that your buddy had for his LLC and using it for yours without fully understanding it, bad idea. Okay, that's a really bad idea. It's almost worse to have an operating agreement that you aren't following and don't understand than it is to not have one at all. So being in breach of contract with the LLC is a much, much worse place to be in than not having a contract that you're following with the LLC. I wouldn't recommend either situation to my clients, and we're definitely going to make sure that when you get an operating agreement from our firm that you understand that operating agreement, the obligations that you have, making sure that you actually understand the operating agreement because it's a contract. And if you fall out of contract with the LLC, bad place to be in. So again, last thing I'll say it one more time. If you don't have an operating agreement for your LLC in Texas, it's not that big of a deal. It can be handled. We can figure it out. But you definitely want to have one for your LLC, regardless of the size, amount of work that you do in the LLC, or if it's just something that kind of sits there.